Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal. Hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's AudioIncRadio.com.
I personally think that one of the most unique bands, I guess you would say, out of the 90s was, well, I mean, obviously you have the big like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, the huge quote unquote grunge movement that came out in the 90s was massive. And I love that stuff. And that was really kind of the defining sound of the 90s. I mean, when you think of 90s music, I mean, you do think of some like rap and hip hop that was also it was kind of the beginning of the big computer instruments and rap, hip hop, all that stuff. There's that whole thing. And then there's the whole grunge thing, which really, I think, defined that decade. But when I think of the most unique band that did not fit in any kind of bubble or any genre, and they often got lumped in with grunge, but they really weren't grunge, in my opinion. I'm talking about, wait for it, STP. Stone Temple Pilots. What a great band. I mean, I was a huge fan of Scott Weiland's vocals, and he's a real rock star. I don't know how to put it, but he really just defines the term. If you look up Scott Weiland, the definition, rock star, he had the demons of a rock star, the demons that you often think of when you think of someone who is at the top of their game in the rock world. He dealt with those. He had the talent. I mean, his voice was incredible. He was the quintessential rock star. And SDP, I kind of define them, I guess, as post-grunge because obviously they were not from Seattle. They were from San Diego, and they had their own sound. They were I guess they were kind of contemporaries of like Nirvana and all those bands. But they just had their own sound. They had kind of psychedelic rock, classic rock. They had all this different stuff in there. They even had some glam rock and the grunge. And it worked incredibly well. One of my favorite bands. I mean, when you think about a record like Core, wow. That record, can you believe it actually was certified 8 times platinum? Yeah, so obviously it struck a big chord with a lot of people. I mean, Dead and Bloated, Wicked Garden, Sex Type Thing, Creep, Plush. When I think of one track that really defines SDP, it's Plush. But I cannot say enough about this band. I personally was devastated when Scott Weiland passed away. I had interviewed him not too much before that. I want to say it was several months before he passed away. I interviewed him. I'm going to keep that conversation private, but I just felt for him. I just wanted him to make it. And I know that drugs are a difficult thing to beat. When you think that you beat them, maybe you haven't. I mean, look at all the incredible talent that we've sadly lost to drug use. But I'm very happy that we still have SDP rocking it. They're touring. They were just in the Detroit, Michigan area at the Arts, Beats, and Eats Festival in Royal Oak. And the DeLeo brothers, they're amazing. They're rocking. They're keeping the legacy alive. And they've got their own music too. I mean, they're always doing different stuff. They're incredibly talented. And I'm very happy that we have Dean DeLeo on the show. The one and only. Very cool guy, just great vibe, very down to earth, very cool guy to hang out with. Dean DeLeo of SDP, and check this out. He has a really cool collaborative project, Trip the Witch, featuring, I'll let him actually describe what it is, but he basically discovered a guitarist online who was totally killer and was like, you know what? We need to do something together. And they put together this incredible collaborative project, Trip the Witch. More new stuff is on the way, and you can check out their current stuff out now. We've got a lot to talk about. Trip the Witch, the 25th anniversary of Tiny Music. STP on the road, and much, much more. It's Anne Erickson. You're on Audio Inc. Radio, the Anne Erickson Show. It's awesome to rock with you. And don't be shy. Hit me up on social media. Facebook, just search my name, Anne Erickson, on Facebook, and my page will pop up. You can message me on there. I promise I don't bite. I always say that. It's very true. I do not bite. And you can find me on Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram and TikTok at Erickson Anne. Very easy. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, shame on you. I want you to do it right now. It's very easy. Just hit that button wherever you are listening right now. Hit subscribe and you'll pretty much make my day. Make my night, whatever time you are rocking it with me here. It's a fun way just to hang out on a weekly basis. It's like just a fun party, a fun hangout session, talking with you, me, different rockers. That, my friend, is the podcast. Finally, check out my band Upon Wings at uponwings.com, female-led metal music. And our YouTube page for Audio Inc. is youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. All right, enough with the business. Right now, let's talk with the one and only Dean DeLeo.
Hey everybody, this is Dean DeLeo with Stone Temple Pilots and Trip the Witch, and you are listening to Audio Inc. Radio with the lovely Anne Erickson. Time it up.
Awesome. Hey Dean, how are you?
Good morning, Anne.
Good morning.
Where are you?
I'm in the Detroit area.
I love it up there. I love it up there. Not so much as this time of season we're coming into, but yeah, I really love it up there. When we get up there, we always stay in Birmingham, and just such a groovy spot, and just you get out of the city, and it's just so gorgeous up there.
Very much. We love having you guys here. Every time you come and play a show, we go crazy. And my grandparents actually, when they were alive, they were in Birmingham, so I love that area. Very good pick on your part.
I love that area. So beautiful.
You've got some really great stuff going on, and you're definitely keeping, really busy. Congrats on everything with Trip the Witch. The music sounds great, and it's just a really unique collaborative project. So tell me about how Trip the Witch came together and kind of what inspired the project.
I'm going to take you back. Several months. A dear friend of mine, Ryan Williams, who actually has been doing a lot of the engineering for STP and actually mixed the last STP record, the Perdita record that we did, and Ryan engineered all my stuff out here in Los Angeles for the Trip the Witch stuff, and he mixed the record as well. So great friend. We've known one another. He worked on the number 4 record. That's when we met. I guess that was about 1999. So Ryan sent me a video of Tom's YouTube thing he has called Home Schoolin', and I was so knocked back by Tom's playing, like really knocked back. And this may sound sort of unbelievable, but I think you'll get it. Mm-hmm. I felt like I had this connection to Tom just seeing him through a video. I just felt like we were kindred spirits. I just felt it. And so with those two things, and just completely and utterly admiring his playing, and this connection that I felt, Ryan reached out to him, and Tom immediately replied and said, "Oh man, tell Dean I said hi." And Ryan said Dean loves the show, and Tom put his number, and I wasted not a minute, but I called him immediately, and we must have been on the phone for 3 hours.
Wow.
And as time went by, we just felt like we've known each other for 100 years. And as we spoke more, we said, let's make a record. And of course, we were in very much the thick of this pandemic. I mean, the thick of it. This was the time when, refrigerated trucks were pulling up outside of hospitals and stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
So nobody could go anywhere. And we thought, amidst this sadness and insanity and came together. And over the course of a few months, we wrote we wrote the record utilizing our cell phones, just sending movies back and forth. We never did Zoom, ironically enough, which Zoom became the most popular thing in the world, right?
Right, totally.
We never used Zoom. We just sent movies back and forth. And what's really nice is lately on my on the band's Instagram, on the Trip to Witch Instagram, I've been posting some of the videos that we sent, the actual videos that we sent to one another composing the record. So it was kind of cool to have all that. So that's pretty much how we wrote the record. And then Tom would go cut his stuff in Nashville. He's a Cleveland kid, and he's been in Nashville for about 28 years, playing on countless records. I'd say he's been on thousands upon thousands of records over the last 20 some years. And all you need to do is see Tom play, and just not only see his playing, but just kind of you feel his energy come through the screen, and you just fall in love with him. And if you're a guitar player out there and you don't know about homeschooling on YouTube, you best get your way over and check it out.
Yes, check it out. Now, is it true that you and Tom actually still haven't met?
We still haven't met.
Wow.
We talk at least, twice a week, and just, have a laugh. He's a really busy guy. He would work 7 days a week, but he's got two beautiful boys, and he kind of makes a point to take time off to be with them. But he's a busy guy.
Now, how did writing and recording the record during the pandemic influence the music on it, if at all?
Well, we talk about that a lot, that we don't think the record would have been what it is unless we recorded it the way we did, because we were each left to our own devices, which I think was a good thing. And when we sent stuff back and forth, the excitement level was through the roof. It was literally like a little kid waiting for a present on Christmas morning. I would get back a track from Tom and just couldn't wait to hear what he did to it. And I'd get to the studio and hear it and be like, now that is just what I wanted to hear. That is just some fine guitar playing. That is exactly what I wanted to hear. And I hope it was the same for him when I sent my stuff to him. So it was kind of like that. We would cut our respective things while he was in Nashville, and I, of course, was here in Los Angeles, and then we would just simply send them back and forth. But I think what really was the key thing here is that we were kind of left to our own devices, and I think that was very healthy. And I know it was for me, because I'll tell you why. I'm going to be really clear. Tom is so proficient. He's so proficient and such an incredible player that while it takes me maybe a lot more time to come up with a great, let's say solo, let's say it takes me a little more time. I really have to sit there because I don't know any theory. I kind of have to sit there and fish through it. Some come faster than others, but I think with me being left alone to be able to do my thing, it allowed me to really kind of work it out. Where I think if I was in a room with Tom, he's not an impatient guy by any means, but I think there would have been a point where I'd been like, dude, let me just play that. After he's waiting around for 45 minutes or an hour for me to suss out a solo, he'd been like, just let me play that, man. So, we were really left to kind of completely and utterly do our own thing without anyone over our shoulder. And then when we'd send it back, there was never a point in making the record where any one of us said, I don't know about that part, man. Every time we sent something back and forth, it was just another block on the house, It was another tear to the song. And that's how it went. It was very, very easy. And I think that we really brought out the best in one another.
I assume there'll be a follow-up?
Yes, for sure. I mean, we're still in the very early stages of this one. We only released one single, and I'd like to do some videos and stuff for a couple more songs off this record, and I know Tom and I would both love to get out and play, do some shows with this record, and just kind of jump into some maybe other material too, and I don't know.
So you're also in a band called SDP that many people know about. So congrats on the 25th anniversary of Tiny Music. That's so crazy. It's been that long. Looking back at that time in your life with SDP, what do you remember most about that era, like the Tiny Music era?
The Tiny Music era. That was I can't say enough about it. It was such a beautiful, beautiful time. It was a beautiful time in many respects. It was also a time where Scott really had some demons. And, it was very double-edged sword. And, we went out to the beautiful Santa Ynez Valley to make that record. And we were in a house, I think it was about a 30,000, 40,000 square foot house on 100 acres where we all lived. The four of us lived, and Brendan lived out there with us, and then we had about 3 or 4 crew members living there because we were utilizing all the rooms in the house to record in. So for instance, the drums on Tumble in the Rough, we recorded upstairs, like 200 yards from the control room. We recorded the drums in a cedar-lined closet. So we had to run wires and run cables. And so it was just a lot of fun in that respect, making this record in this big old house and all of us living there. And it was so communal and just so beautiful. And it was just amazing, just amazing. And, then of course, you kind of, it's always cathartic when you got what's coming out of the speakers that's been going on in your head, That's always a very cathartic process to finally hear that music that's been kind of itching in you for a little bit. So, yeah, that was a great time. And then, of course, we went out and toured that record, and it was just beautiful. I remember we emulated, we did this backdrop. We wanted to kind of emulate the Hollywood Bowl. So we kind of wanted to bring the Hollywood Bowl around the country. So yeah, it was a wonderful tour. It was a wonderful process making the record, and it just brings back so many great memories.
Was Scott still cool on the tour? I mean, I know he was like dealing with demons, but on that tour, was he not really showing it as much?
He was managing.
If I did the math right, it looks like next year is actually the 30th anniversary of Core. And that record just, obviously like has struck such a chord with people decade after decade. What do you think it is about that record that people just hold on to year after year and they love it so much?
I would have to say it's the memories it forged while people were listening to it. I have so many people come up to me at this point in life. So how long ago was that record made now? So like 28 years ago? Is that about right? 28 years ago? So I have people come up to me now, and if they're a little bit older now, and they come up to me and they say, I remember right where I was the first time I heard Plush, and some are much more interesting than others.
I bet, yeah.
I hear a lot of, I was in the back of my car, and here's my wife. I married her. I was in the back of my car with this woman, and Plush was on the radio, and we were kind of getting to it. I'm like, hey, that's enough. I don't need to know anymore. But congratulations on your marriage. So, I think for all of us, it's the memories that it made, and it that's the beauty and power of music. A song comes on and takes you right back to that time and that memory, and hopefully it's this beautiful, unforgettable memory that really, stays in your heart.
Well, in SDP, you guys have been back on the road. I know you were actually in our area not too long ago, and then you've got tour dates on the way. So what is it like getting back out there after being away from touring for so long because of the pandemic?
I can't wait. We hadn't played. We were out on a tour in the summer of 19. We were out with the great Rival Sons and the great Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown, who we're actually going out with on this tour coming up. But that was during the summer of 2019.
Wow. Yeah.
It's 2 years ago. The last show that we did was with the Rival Sons and Tyler Bryant, Shakedown, and that was October of 19. So we're looking at 2 years almost to the day.
Wow.
I mean, we are right now sitting in about a 3-day margin from when we last toured 2 years ago. However, over the last couple of months, we have done 2 shows. We went up to South Dakota and played up at the Buffalo Chip up there for the big bike event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we got in front of about 30,000 people that night, and then we played, a lovely show up in Royal Oak.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. The Arts, Beats, and Eats.
Okay, I don't know if you were there, but that was a beautiful night. Just set up in the middle of this beautiful section of town, outside. It was a gorgeous night, probably 15,000 people there, and it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. So we did those 2 shows, so we got a little bit of a taste and be able to get back on the bicycle, you know. But yeah, it was really nice, and I know we're all looking real forward to getting out and playing.
Tell me about how your new vocalist Jeff Goot has really become a member of the band. He's from the Detroit area, so we're very proud that he's become such a welcome member. I know, he's one of our own.
He's one of your very own, the great Jeff Goot. And Robert was in Detroit. Robert was touring with the Hollywood Vampires at the time. And we had exhausted ourselves in trying to find a singer. I mean, exhausted. We were at the point we were like, well, this may be the time, fellas, to put the fork in it. We didn't know. We had auditioned many, many, many singers. It was arduous. It was a lot of work, and people flew in from around the country. We thought we'd have more women stepping in to audition, but we didn't. We auditioned a lot of people, and we just didn't feel like we quite had it. And Robert, like I said, was out on the road with the Hollywood Vampires. He played Detroit, and somebody approached Robert after the show and said, hey, there's this guy. His name's Jeff Goot. He's a local guy. You may want to check him out. So I think Robert kind of delved into it a little bit, looked at him, and I got a call. It was late at night. He calls me. He goes, oh, man, this guy just told me about this gentleman by the name of Jeff Goot, and we checked him out. We're like, oh, wow, man, he sure knows his way around a song, doesn't he? So Jeff came out, and we gave everybody the same 7 songs to sing on these auditions. We wanted to keep it an even playing field, and we gave the same 7 songs to everybody. And one of the songs on the of the 7 was a song off Core called Piece of Pie, which is a very hard song to sing, especially if you're a tenor. And Jeff walked in with great confidence and said, let's start with that.
Wow.
So we immediately said, okay, that's a good sign. And the vocal starts with this kind of like tribal scream, this yeah, really. And oh my goodness, I hadn't felt that kind of vocal power since Scott wrote it.
Wow.
And so yeah, Jeff knocked us back on the first thing that came out of his mouth.
Well, that's a good sign. Yeah.
Scott truly was a singer. Scott was a crooner, and I'm gonna tell you something that a lot of people won't know, and a lot of people be like, I'm not hearing that, I don't get that. But really go listen to the way they breathe. Listen how the way they enunciate, and not so much the enunciation, but listen how they breathe for the song and deliver a line and deliver a lyric, and the melodic sense. Scott was very influenced by Karen Carpenter.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And if you go back and really listen to Scott's delivery, and then listen to how Karen delivered a line or a lyric, or how she breathed and where she took her breath, Scott really was very, very much like her. And Scott, I can't say enough about his talent. He was extraordinary, and he was a true singer. With these half-step inflections or step and a half inflections, and a lot of people just stepped right over that stuff. Like, for instance, the intro, Interstate Love Song is a perfect example. There's a lot of half-step inflections in that. And a lot of singers we had come in just kind of stepped right over them. It's like, you're kind of missing some notes there, man. Mm-hmm. Where, when Jeff came in, Jeff really, really sang every song we gave him. And Interstate, by the way, was one of those 7. Tripping in a Hole was one of them, because that's a real hard one to get out. And Jeff just nailed it. Mm-hmm. Wow. In every respect of the word. So, ironically, Jeff was the last person we auditioned. We kind of went through, I'm going to say 40, 50 people we auditioned.
Whoa, yeah.
And we stopped, and Robert went out on the road with the Vampires, and we didn't know what we were going to do. And then, lo and behold, Robert's in Detroit. This guy approaches him, said, "You need to check out this cat, Jeff." And Jeff was the last person we auditioned. And, thank God.
Well, gosh, is there anything else that you want to add?
No, I think we got it all.
Well, thank you for your time, and I look forward to you guys coming back to Detroit and stuff. And hey, maybe Trip the Witch. That'd be awesome.
We'll see you soon. Thank you, Anne.
Dean DeLeo of STP, Stone Temple Pilots, and Trip the Witch, thank you for being an awesome guest on my show. You're welcome back anytime. Just what a great personality. Very down to earth, beautiful vibe, great conversation right there. Check out Trip the Witch. Really cool stuff, especially if you're into awesome, just guitar driven, crazy, experimental, extra fun music. Check that out. And SDP on the road this fall, and I have a feeling they'll be on the road next year, hopefully, because hey, the world needs more SDP. All right. It's been great. You rock. It's Anne Erickson, and if you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, now is the perfect time to do it. It's very easy. It's free. It's fun. Just wherever you're listening right now, hit that button, subscribe, and you'll be instantly notified of the next breaking episode. And hey, reach out to me online. I would love to hear from you if you have an idea for a guest or just want to say, "Hey, Anne, what's up? I listen. I like the show." All that stuff I am all about. I would love to hear from you. Find me on Facebook and actually all my social media. Just head to itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeanne.com to link up on all social media. Twitter and Snapchat is at Anne Erickson. Instagram and TikTok, Erickson. And Facebook, you can just search Anne Erickson on Facebook and my page will pop up. It is very easy. And finally, if you haven't checked out my band yet, get on it. Uponwings.com. Female-led metal music, and we're putting together stuff that's kind of different for Upon Wings, but in a good way. I think, fingers crossed, that you'll dig it. Uponwings.com. If you haven't checked out Audio Inc.'s YouTube channel, you can find great in-person kind of, or Zoom in-person, face-to-face. That's what I'm looking for. Face-to-face interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal. That's youtube.com/Audio Inc. Radio. It is that easy. Until next time, be safe, God bless, and we'll rock soon. It's Anne Erickson on Audio Inc. Radio, The Anne Erickson Show.
It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio podcast.